All right, so as many of us anticipated, the Golden State Warriors made a move at the deadline. It was a multi team trade. Long story short, James Wiseman left, and in return, they got Gary Payton II and some second round picks. Of course, we call him Gary Payton II instead of Gary Payton Jr. because he actually has a brother named Gary Payton Jr. Gary Payton, the glove, the original Gary Payton, had both the moms knocked up at the same time and get both the sons the exact same name. The glove is a crazy guy, but I digress. Gary Payton II is a really good player, especially on the defensive end. He provides just a ton of energy, and he really is a weapon on the defensive end. What he can do out on the perimeter as a guy who can guard pretty much 1 through 3 and just lock down, get under your skin. He's like what people think Patrick Beverly is, or what you would like hope Patrick Beverly is. That's who Gary Payton II actually is. He's going to pick you up full court. He's going to strip you a couple times. He's going to poke the ball out of bounds. He's going to make it very difficult for you just to make any moves towards the basket. He's sticking to you like glue. Like, that guy is arguably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. Like, that's how good he is out there on the perimeter guarding. And we saw it against Jason Tatum in the NBA Finals, against Jaylen Brown in the NBA Finals. Those guys, if there's one weakness that those guys have, they're pretty complete as offensive players, but they do have little holes. And if anything, it's their ball handling. Jaylen Brown, he's going to lose the ball sometimes. Jason Tatum, his handle isn't super duper tight. Those were the two leaders in turnovers last year in the NBA postseason. And a large part of it was Gary Payton getting under their skin, and Golden State just saying, oh yeah, we're going to send Draymond, Wiggins, Gary Payton, get under these guys' skin, put a lot of pressure on them, and they're going to cough up the ball. Gary Payton is just one of the best in the league defensively out there on the perimeter. Like, I would argue him, Drew Holiday, like, he's up there with the best of them, if not number one, honestly, when he's healthy. And that's a big thing is, now they're saying that he's going to be hurt. He's going to be out for a while. They're saying the Portland Trailblazers had some malpractice, letting Gary Payton get traded. But Gary Payton was out there playing for Portland. Gary Payton was fighting through the injury. Golden State knew that Gary Payton was on the injury report on and off throughout the entire season. So they knew to some extent he was banged up, but I don't think they realized how bad it was until he failed that physical. So, it's some weird stuff going on, but nonetheless, the Warriors accepted the trade. Gary Payton II is back with Golden State. I'm going to cover the James Wiseman part of this in another video, but ultimately, Wiseman just didn't fit with this team, and what this team was lacking was defense. The Warriors, they can still shoot the three ball. They can still get it up with the best of them. They got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. They can still score. But defensively, they were getting torched. And the Warriors throughout this dynasty have always sneakily been one of the best defensive teams in the league. Like, when the Warriors were winning all those games, even before KD got there, like, they were the best defensive team in the league. And if they weren't one, they would be top 2, top 3. Like, the Warriors always had an amazing defense by any metric. And this is the first year that they really don't have that kind of defense. Steve Kerr, at his core, is a defensive coach. I mean, he does employ ball movement and swinging the ball around and the motion offense and everything, and he's great with that. But he is a defensive-minded coach at his core. He's big on defense. He knows that you need to play defense to win championships, and Gary Payton II is going to help them with that in a major, major way if healthy. So, I'm going to play this clip. They're going to talk about the trade. Let's see what they got to say.
Senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, you know what that noise means. The Blazers, they are trading Gary Payton II back to the Warriors for 5 second-round picks. That's what sources are telling our Woj. The Warriors are then routing Kevin Knox to the Blazers in a multi-team deal with the Pistons. You got that? Okay.
And Kevin Knox, unfortunately, he just seems like he's not really going to ever materialize in the NBA. He's been getting bounced around from this team to that team, just riding the pine. You never know with guys. Like, I was saying it on Twitter, the NBA isn't necessarily like a talent-driven league. Like, if you're super talented, you can be the 1, 2, or 3 option on these teams. But, after top 3, 4 guys on the team, it's really about who fits in with the top 3 or 4 guys. Who helps make the top 3 or 4 guys better, or who benefits from the playing style of the top 3 or 4 guys. So, Kevin Knox, I'm not saying that the dude doesn't have game, because maybe he's in practice busting these guys' asses. Like, I think Cam Reddish in practice is probably busting everybody's ass in Portland, but is he really going to help them win on the court? Is he going to be a factor when it comes to them having better results out there in the real games? We'll have to wait and see about that. But, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes in the NBA for some guys. Some guys who just dominate, like they dominate other NBA players back in high school and college. It just doesn't work out in the NBA. We see that in a ton of different sports leagues. But this was good for Portland as well because Gary Payton II wasn't happy there. He wasn't helping them. Billups wasn't a big fan of Gary Payton II. It just wasn't working. And when it's not working, the best thing to do is just move on. So they trade him back to Golden State, and it's a win for both teams. Golden State wins because they get their guy back, and the Portland Trailblazers win because they get some things in return for a guy who wasn't helping them anyway.
Good, because Richard Jefferson, if you've got that, tell me what you think of this deal, this move that brings him back to the Warriors.
Don't ever take less money to stay with the team. Don't ever take less money. Why? Because what the Warriors had to offer GP, he went and got his money from Portland. He earned his money, deserved his money. And then they were like, okay, maybe he was worth all those dollars. And so when
Well, yes and no. Richard Jefferson, he's right about the first part. Gary Payton II, it was a great move for him to make sure that he went out and got his money. This might go down as his one opportunity to really get a bag in the NBA. This might be his last big contract, reasonably big, of course, in context, and his one chance to really get that bag. So he had to do that. He had to go where he had to go. Portland was offering the money. He went out there and he got it. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. On the Warriors' end, and why I say Richard Jefferson is wrong, the Warriors didn't re-sign Gary Payton, not because they didn't want him, but because it was gonna hurt the luxury tax, and that's the same reason why they got rid of Wiseman to a large part, was Wiseman was really gonna mess up the luxury tax next year. You can't have a guy riding the bench just putting you in the red like that. So, getting rid of Wiseman helps with the luxury tax, helps them save money. Getting Gary Payton on this contract that Portland signed him on instead of them signing him and the tax that they were going to have to take signing him themselves, it saves them a lot of money. So they got a player that is going to help them right away, and they got to save some money. So this was a win for Golden State.
Look at this. Gary Payton is going to go back. I think the Warriors, they needed more of a defensive identity. There were things that they were kind of missing this year. Their transition defense at times on the road was not what they needed it to be. So I love that you bring back a piece that you feel fits. And I think GP fits. And I like some of the other things. The Warriors, I love it that they're not cashing it in. And I don't mean that in like they're done, but it's more of like, well, we're going to stay pat and see if we can fit. No, let's get back some of these horses that allowed us to get to the mountaintop last year.
But yeah, that's it on that. Gary Payton is going to help the Warriors in a major way. I think that, he's in a way, he's a superstar at his role. Like, I don't want to go quite there, but if you watch those games last year and the games that he was healthy and playing in, I know he got hurt in that Memphis series early on, but when he came back and even before that in the regular season, the impact that he was having out there for them, like, He's such a weapon, and I didn't even talk about on the offensive end. Like, they have a couple set plays that they run for him where he gets cuts to the basket, like catches lobs. That's why it's going to be very interesting to see just how healthy he is, because a big part of his game is just how vertical he is. He's only like 6'3", but he really gets up there. Like, Draymond throws him the lobs. Sometimes when Draymond's coming downhill as the roller on the screens, he'll throw that lob that Iggy and KD and those guys used to catch, JaVale McGee. Now you got Gary Payton II catching those lobs. They also run a couple, like I said, they run a couple set plays where they get him coming off of a screen and then he's running to the basket and they throw a lob to him. So it gives them a couple wrinkles where they can actually get to the basket, because the Warriors have struggled getting points at the rim. They've been pretty much living exclusively from the perimeter, so they got to get some rim pressure. Gary Payton II is going to help with that. Jonathan Kuminga, he's starting to get some more minutes. He's going to help with that. Ideally, Wiggins would catch fire as the season closes, and he'll help them with that, hopefully. We know Steph, when it matters most now, that he's gotten stronger, and, he's really turned his game up another notch. I think Steph is playing the best basketball of his career the past couple seasons. I think Steph is going to be getting to the basket a little bit more in the postseason as well. Jordan Poole attacks the basket but turns the ball over a lot. So, it's going to be crucial for the Warriors to play better defense and to get to the rim more. And I think Gary Payton II can help with that in a major way. So, thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.